Hello everyone, this is Jim Okrasinski with this week's lecture video we're diving into chapter 5, coming down to the end here. As I say here in the announcement, as we are working through the peer review process this week, be aware that I am also reviewing your drafts. My goal is to complete all the reviews this week, so please be patient in finishing up your final draft. I will upload a GDoc link to the comment section in Blackboard when I record the grade for your first draft. So look for that GDoc link. All right, it'll be a separate document that I've created. I don't want to interfere with your first draft in the peer review process. So be sure to look for that link and let me know if there's any problems. So as we get to the lecture video, let me open up the PowerPoint here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about chapter 5. And chapter 5, as you probably have noticed, because I know everyone has read chapter 5 for this week, the ever conscientious students that everyone is. Breaking up is hard to do, right? Chapter 5 is all about revision and how we look at revision. And sometimes we look at revision as tightening up sentences. You know, every time I see something in the peer review report that says grammar, I'm like, ah, man, it's not the point for grammar. That's the very last, item that gets corrected and worked on, the local issues. So we're looking for more global issues, and that's the way I treat my review of the research essay first draft. Okay. So I'm looking at how you're using sources, the ideas that you have. Are you answering the so what and who cares questions? The idea here is between uploading the first draft and the peer reviews and even my um, review, you should step away from your draft for about a week or so, and that's why this process is designed to do that. Remember, I also did push out the due date for the final draft to allow for that divorcing of the draft, as Ballinger says in his textbooks. So let's take a look at some ideas to give everybody a little bit of a holistic sense of revision as we move through. So in the draft, now you're really moving as you go to revise to think about the basis of the writer to reader based prose. Okay, up until this point, we've really focused on the research and you're writing on what you want to say, your ideas about your topic, what information you want to present. Well, now you've got to smooth it out. You have to revise so that you can be read. And sometimes when we're pulling together all of the different parts, whether it's the annotated, the double entry, and even the first draft, we're just worried about production, getting the right information into these documents and these assignments. So the one thing we have to do now in chapter 5 is to move to that reader-based prose. So do you have a clear purpose? You know, what did you find out? What's your research question? Establish a research question and answer are significant. I mean, what is a significant? I'll ask this in comments, and some of you may have seen it about answering the so what and who cares questions. You know, what stake does the reader have in your inquiry? Okay, we'll talk about audience in a minute. And Ballinger is really big on advocating for saying one main thing, right? Among the possible answers, what's more significant, revealing, or persuasive? What is your main point? That coincides really with a claim or a thesis. How are you going to focus your research essay? Okay. So is it organized around the clear purpose? Here is a couple of templates from the textbook that you can use to fill in if you are exploring. The main purpose of my essay is on whatever your topic is to explore X. In particular, I will consider the questions raised by Y, Z, and maybe reverting back to A. You can fill in the blanks here. One of the reasons why we participated in a dialogue with Dave and some of the activities is to get you thinking about your purpose and your main point. All right. So, does your essay establish significance? Readers may find your discussion significant if it raises questions they want to know the answers to. So remember, we always write to be read. All right. And writing's not about you, it's about the audience, it's about the readers. So if it helps them see what they've seen before in a way they haven't seen it, In other words, what is something new that you found out through your research and your thinking? Does it amplify what they already know and care about? Okay, you got to inform the audience. You want to keep their attention. In some instances, depending upon your topic, the pathos, right, the rhetorical tool, right? Does it move them emotionally? Does it take a surprising point of view? Some of your information that you've unearthed about some of your topics is interesting and surprising to many people. You can't assume that the audience knows everything about your topic. Um, I'm not talking about using images here because I'm not looking for images. And oh, here we get to the section you'll find in the textbook on 158, page 158. Who are you in your draft, right? So persona is a rhetorical choice. How are you going to present your information? Since this is for the final research essay, it's a little bit more of a formal document, so you want to eliminate those contractions. Okay, watch your persona as you present your vocabulary and your sentence structures, right? Now I hit indicate those 4 bullet points on page 158. It says ask your instructor, and I remember saying before we went on our little online hiatus that your audience for the research essay is everybody in your classroom. That is what we talked about in the textbook, as opposed to writing up, just writing across. Consider all of you, and I know it's a little hard now because we're all not in the same room, but considering each and every one of you, your audience. Once again, consider your purpose. What is the purpose behind? Are you exploring? Are you arguing? Okay. Are you presenting information? Is it a problem solution format here? How much does your intended audience know about the topic? Right? Can't assume that everybody might know about social media and cell phones. In fact, a lot of people really don't pay attention other than using it. And then you have to consider the genre. The genre is that research essay, and it comes with all the conventions that we've talked about, right? So there's examples here about managing persona through diction and style. Gender differences are the subject of many psychological investigations. That's a formal style. Then to break it down a little bit, moderately formal. Psychologists have spent considerable time over the years studying gender differences. And then we move it down to the less formal of psychologists have investigated gender differences for a long time. Okay, so me as being an instructor say, what's a long time, right? Over the years, what's the long time, right? So we want to make sure that we also use some specific language when we're putting together your final draft. All right. In the textbook, they talk about tightening the seams. You know, find your own way of saying things. Surround factual information with your own analysis. That's where I will make the comment. I think you need some more discussion here. Manage analogies and comparisons. Make sure they're accurate. Scrutinize your paragraphs. Remember, it's one idea per paragraph. Make sure you try to build that quote sandwich in and around. Lead into your source material. Discuss it significantly afterwards. Try to avoid those hanging indents, right? We want to avoid those hanging indent. Not hanging indents. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Hanging quotations at the end of a paragraph. You want to make sure that all your information is talked about as you present it. All right. I'm recording way too many videos lately and too many presentations. All right. So maybe next week we'll talk about the 10 common things to avoid in a research essay. But I think this is enough for you to take in right now about Chapter 5. There will be one final Chapter 5 discussion board next week after we finish up peer review. You're going to want to take a look at that because that might help you with your final draft and the revisions. Okay. So that being said, that's about it. Good luck and be safe out there.